And then there's all the rumors about Sid this year. What have you been telling people when they've come up to you, say, what's going on with Sid?
I asked him a while ago. I'm like, hey, are you going anywhere? Like, because I read all this stuff too, and I'm in. I'll be honest, I'm like scared to ask him. But I was like, hey, like, what's going on with this? I finally like mustered it up. We were in a text hot stove kind of. And his answer to me, and this is what I tell people, is, oh, I love it here. Like, this is where I play. This is where I've been. This is what I've created. And, my thinking of it is like, to what we talked about a while ago, the legacy that he's built here and has on the Penguins. And when he came in, he changed it. And so, he's been the face and the pulse of this team for so long, and putting it into the realm of what we talk about this Penguins organization. And I think it means something to him to pass the torch, and to leave it and help the younger guys and the next generation of Penguins players after he's gone, that this is the way it's done. And, we heard that in Boston, right? When Chara left and all those guys talked about, the Pasternaks and the McAvoys and the Marchands when he was there. What Chara had left with Bergeron and all these others, right? And, I think that legacy of passing, like what it is to be a Penguin now, and how you do it and how this runs, I think is of his thought process. And so that's what I tell people. That's what I know. That's what I think of his character too. Is that he's a guy that thinks that way and feels that way. And until something changes, that's what I say. Have you guys heard?
We had Pierre LaRouche on from the alumni golf tournament first week.
Oh, he's awesome.
And Pierre said almost identically the same thing.
Yeah,
he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I can't see it happening. I just can't see from what I just said about the way he is. Could it happen? I don't know.
I think it could happen. I do. Maybe not for a full year.
I can't see it happening at all. I think that Sid's won 3 championships there. Sid's a legend in Canada for what he's done on the Olympic stage. He doesn't need to go anywhere to prove anything to anybody, except staying in Pittsburgh would mean more as a legacy, just like Mario stayed.
Yeah.
And I think there's that.
But going somewhere else doesn't affect that legacy.
I think it might. Honestly,
Bork is still loved in Boston.
But let me ask,
Sundin's still loved in Toronto. Like those guys that.
Yeah, but Sundin didn't start in Toronto. So but look, Colby, let me ask you: do you think there's a Mario influence still on Sid?
I think so. I think he. Look, I think he living with him. I think learned a lot from him, and Mario's a very quiet guy, and we don't see him doing any of these. No. I think Sid, personality-wise, is much the same. I think he's, and I think that's a great point. I think in mirroring one of his guys that he's ultimately came in and learned the most from, and I think that's a great point, John. Yeah, I think very Mario-like, and here in Pittsburgh, small town city, it's I think it's a great point to kind of tie those two together in that sense. 100%.
I just think if it wobbles a little bit and there's an opportunity there and it fits, why not take a shot?
Wobbles a little bit. This team hasn't made the playoffs for how long? Wobbles. Well, it's wobbled a lot.
It can always get worse.
I can't imagine it. I can't imagine.
Gino's going this year, right? Like we're all in agreement. This is going to be the last year for Malkin.
I think in Pittsburgh, right? I don't know if he wants to do another year somewhere else or what will happen with him, but Yes,
Oh,
that
he'll
was.
get to Florida. Don't worry. He'll get to Florida, and they'll just have another forward, and they'll put another Stanley Cup run together. I mean, can't you just see it?
Yeah, I know. I could see it. I could see it. Gino's another guy who was talking about, Kyle Dubas. Kyle Dubas was on that Cam and Strick podcast and talked about Malkin also, how underrated his career's been, behind Crosby as the two-headed monster here. And yeah, he's had I mean, those guys here have had, him and Letang and Sid are just revered here in Pittsburgh. It's awesome. They're lifers, to the people of Pittsburgh. So it's been a heck of a run. That was a big announcement for Malkin, this summer with his last year here and kind of saying, this is it. But yeah, speaking of wobbles, like the team is I don't know if they've used rebuild as a saying. I think it's kind of been said, everyone's kind of scared of it, but there's no question that is happening. The draft picks, the acquiring of assets, the, moving of players, the Jake Gensel move, I think was big a few years ago. Trying to restock cupboards, which is huge. I've loved being in Pittsburgh. And if you're a Penguins fan and you follow the Penguins, I mean, how great has it been, with the 3 cups? Yes. But the fact that the Penguins have been on the tip of your tongue for the last, and whether they've been not made the playoffs the last number of years, they've still kind of been of a team that if they get in the playoffs, that look out, like they could win a 7-game series. Like they have the guys to do that. So they've been on the tip of your tongue as a perennial contender every year almost. And, to trade first round picks and to go for it and that's what they've done. And so we're kind of in a phase now under Kyle Dubas now where he's been doing some work to, draft, trade, and acquire and try to build something up here. So I think it was a tough one. Wilkes-Barre, I believe, went out in the first round this year in the American Hockey League Calder Cup playoffs. And I think that was not the plan. I think they were expecting like kind of a run for some of their guys down there to have that experience. Didn't quite go as planned. So we'll see what that looks like coming into this year with some new draft picks and some new bodies and some older players and what that'll look like. But there's definitely, obviously, a big push right now for where the Penguins are at with Dubas and Spezza and others here now to kind of switch gears and get things rebuilt.
So what's the market think of Kyle?
I think they like him. I think coming in, there was an excitement that we were getting this young kind of whiz kid is kind of the understanding. I think there was some trepidation about his record, I guess, in the past of not being able to get it done, which it's well documented. But I think there's an excitement around, like, Pittsburgh's a great sports town, and people, as hard as it's been, support the Pirates. This is a great sports city though. And they understand though, I think when teams have been good, they understand like the life cycle. They understand like we've got to rebuild. I was at a little pub down the street meeting with our crew this year for Sportsnet Pittsburgh. And there's guys in there, what a Penn's going to do this year. Do you think we can have a chance at the playoffs? Like, they're understanding. I've been at a game and talked to an usher that has worked at the rink for 20 years. And she's like, we don't have it this year. You can tell when you've seen greatness and you've seen winning teams and, like where the team's at and what's happening. People know. And so I think there's an understanding with Kyle is to use kind of like a hip kid term, let him cook. You got to let him cook a bit here and get things working. And then ultimately there's going to come a time where his plan will be laid on the table. But right now I think everyone's in understanding that he's been brought in and he's going to do his job to straighten and get things cooking again.